Hello, hello. This is another episode of the series Motivational Monday Live with your host, Aura Elena Martinez. And this episode is entitled, You're Only Guaranteed Now. Now, before I start with this episode, I want to start off by introducing myself if this is the first time that you are watching this series, and also share with you what was it that motivated me, or more so inspired me to start this series. Once again, my name is Arlena Martinez, and I'm a self-discovery and empowerment coach, helping women gain total clarity in their purpose so they can wake up to daily fulfillment and certainty. Now, a purpose is not to be limited to just a calling. Why is that? Because you could be living your calling and still not be living your most purposeful life. And this is because a purposeful life also consists of you enjoying greater levels of mental well-being, emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, physical well-being, and why not even financial well-being? Because every part of you and your life matters. And what really prompted me to start this series is that Mondays tend to be that day of the week that many are feeling anxious, frustrated, and not looking forward to their week. They're not looking forward to going to work. And if that's what's going on for you, if you're already thinking and feeling, oh my God, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to work. Why do I have to do this? I'm not looking forward to my week. I want vacation, which I made a video before on that. If you are like desperately wanting vacation, that's a whole different topic. Let that be your sign. Let that be your sign that something needs to change. That's a call for change. That's a call for transformation, right? Because you're not meant to be frustrated, not looking forward to what you got to do, what you have going for you. Like, you're not meant for that. Okay. You're not meant for that. And it is my intention with this series that you get closer and closer to your truth. That's right, your truth. And why is it important that you know your truth and that you're living your truth and that you understand your truth? Because the more you're living your truth, the more you're living with authenticity. And it's when you're living from that level of authenticity that you can experience this level of happiness that doesn't rely on outside things, doesn't rely on things being a certain way, right? And who doesn't want that kind of happiness, right? That comes from within. We all want it, right? And it is also my intention that this series elevates your level of consciousness. You're going to hear me say this every single week. And that's because your level of consciousness matters, because your level of consciousness dictates what resonates, what lands, how much you're able to see. Are you able to take advantage of what's in front of you? Like, it will really dictate a lot of things. When you notice that two people are receiving the same information and one is successful with that information, while the other one isn't, there's something that the person that is successful was able to see, was able to understand, was able to capture. They were in a different level of consciousness. Now, there are many things that can affect our level of consciousness, right? And so it is my intention that with this series, you're peeling a layer at a time. You're learning to see things in a different way. You're growing in a way that perhaps you never thought you can grow in that way. Okay. And so just like when you're looking outside and you're looking at the street from the first floor, everything looks big. The cars look normal size, people look normal size, right? The buildings look really, really big. But if you're looking outside from the 10th floor, cars look smaller, people look smaller, the buildings don't look so big. The same thing is going to happen when you elevate your level of consciousness. What was once big won't have the same bigness for you. What was perhaps small now has a bigger significance for you. So this stuff matters. This stuff matters. The level of consciousness, I'm telling you, it dictates more than you could possibly imagine. And once again, the episode for this week is entitled, You're Only Guaranteed Now. Now, I had this topic planned since the beginning of the year, and I didn't even consider the timing of it, right? Like, yesterday was my birthday, and I'm recently reading a book that is changing my mindset on how I see the world and how I see how we function, right? How we behave. And birthdays are a very special time, right? If we allow it, right? If we allow it to sink in, the fact that we have another day on this earth. We just had another year on this earth, right? You can truly see and feel how precious it is to be on this planet Earth, how precious it is that we still have life, right? How lucky you are to have another day here. And it can be an opportunity for a shift, right? And a recommitment to yourself, a recommitment to your desires, a recommitment to your higher self, a recommitment to being the best version of you, a recommitment to loving yourself, etc., etc. Of course, if you allow it to, right? And for you to do this, it's important for you to remember that you only have this moment right now. This is guaranteed. Like this moment is guaranteed because you're living it, right? Right now is guaranteed, not tomorrow, anything like that, not the future, right now. So with this week's episode, I'm going to explain what it actually means that you're only guaranteed now. Okay. And what this does not mean, because that's equally important, right? So many times we misinterpret what living right now means, and we do irresponsible things. We do things that just hurts us in the long run. So I'm going to clarify that. And you're going to hear me say the word worldly, or the phrase, if you want to say it, right? Worldly advice, worldly. You're going to hear me say that. And when I say it, I don't mean it in the religious sense. I'm not necessarily religious, even though I believe in God. I'm more spiritual, right? But that's a whole different topic. But we do hear this word more so in the religious sense, right? That's where we hear it the most. What I'm going to be sharing with you, if you allow it and you apply it in your life, it's going to add to you. It's going to add to your life. It's going to add to you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and eventually even physically. And this is because everything that affects the mind, the heart, the spirit, eventually is going to affect you physically, because everything is connected. So the whole purpose, the whole intention with this is to remind you, right? To remind you that you're only guaranteed right now. That's your only guarantee right now. To remind you of how precious today is. Because many times we get so caught up on all the things that don't even matter, right? All the little small stuff, that we lose sight of what really matters. To remind you that what you do today matters. To remind you that what you do not do, right? We think that what we do matters, but so is what you do not do. That matters just as much, right? To remind you that this very moment can be the moment that can change your life, okay? It can be. To remind you that this minute, that this hour matters so much. So don't take this for granted. Don't take yourself for granted. Don't take your life for granted, right? Don't take the fact that you can make tremendous change now for granted. Many times we take that for granted, right? I know that I have myself. We just tend to take this for granted. And when we do, we miss the beautiful opportunities that come our way, right? What kind of opportunities? The opportunities to improve ourselves, the opportunities to improve our health, the opportunities to improve the relationships that we have, to improve our mindset, to improve our level of consciousness, right? And before I continue with what I'm about to say, I'm going to give you the definition of the word normal. And the reason why I want to do this is because if I say what I'm about to say without giving you the context of what normal means, it's not going to make much sense. You're probably going to be resisting what I'm about to say. Okay, so and I want this to really, for you to really get it in every cell of your body, what I'm about to say, because this is really, I really want every part of you to really let it sink in, right? So if you look up the word normal, it means conforming to a standard, usual, typical, or expected. I'm going to repeat that one more time because it's important. Conforming to a standard, usual, typical, or expected. So basically what this means is you're saying, okay, I guess this is it. So that becomes your standard, right? Whatever you accept, whatever is usual, whatever everyone is doing, whatever you expect, that's what becomes normal. And the reason why this definition matters, is because sometimes we think that certain things are normal when they're not. We made it normal. Or as a collective society, we made it normal, but it doesn't mean that it is normal. So with that said, it is normal to be healthy. Yes, it is. It is normal to be healthy. It is normal to be happy. It is normal to be excited. It is normal to enjoy life. It is normal. And this is important for you to really keep in mind when it comes to you enjoying this very moment, right? You are to expect this. Let this be a standard for you. Because if it's not a standard, I'm telling you, it's not going to be normal for you, right? So if you're wondering, okay, what does this have to do with I'm only guaranteed now and yada, yada, yada? Well, it has so much to do with it, right? You know how many people right now are like miserable and unhappy and are like expecting the worst? They're wasting their precious time. Now, look, I get it. I get what it's like to be disappointed with life. I get what it's like to have so much thrown at you. And I know what it's like to feel like you want to punch something because you're like so pissed with the circumstance, with life, whatever. I get it. I get it, right? Life has its up and downs. But those downs do not have to knock you out completely. And even if they do knock you out, it doesn't mean you're going to stay down. You get the heck right up, right? And you get up stronger. You getting stronger in the process of you getting knocked down is where you get the most out of your life, the most out of your moment. Now I'm going to share the following with you because if you're here thinking, oh, well, it's easier for Aura to say that because she isn't going through what I'm going through. She probably doesn't go through that. This is going to zip it. This is going to zip it. So I remember in 2021, in particular, July of 2021, my mom for several days was experiencing like pain in the chest. And so getting up was difficult, sitting down, everything was just difficult. And so a couple of days passed and then I had to go to Milan and somebody told me take her to the ER. I wanted to take her to the ER since the day before, but she didn't want to. She was hard-headed. But then I made her go to the ER. So luckily I listened to my instinct. I called out. I didn't go to Milan. I instead took her to the ER. And the doctor told me it was a good thing I took her because it was the heart. And I arrived home late at night. The next day I woke up, I worked out. And I'm telling you, after I worked out, I cried. I cried and I was angry. I was angry. I want to like punch something. I ended up punching air basically because I needed to. I was angry with life. I was angry at my mom as well because the reason why the heart, it was the lupus that was attacking the heart. And when you have the autoimmune disease lupus, stress doesn't help. So she just let herself get depressed. She just let herself go. And so it affected her heart. So I was just angry. I was angry with life. And why am I sharing this with you? Well, before I even say why I'm sharing this with you, I remember that same day, that same morning after I worked out and after I cried and was punching the air, I realized something very important, and that is how valuable each and every one of us are. We are extremely valuable. How valuable it is what you're thinking, how valuable it is what you're feeling, how valuable it is what you're doing. If you think that what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're feeling doesn't matter, yes, it does. Someone else is affected by what you do. Someone else is impacted because of how you're living your life. And so how she was living her life was impacting me, which made me realize the value that my life had in this earth. And so I share this story with you. Two things for you to learn. One, how valuable you are. To be valuable, you don't have to be making so much money. You don't have to be a CEO of anything. You're just valuable by default. Now, if you don't see it, that's a whole different issue, right? If you don't treat yourself like so, that's a whole different issue. But you already are valuable just as is. And it was in that moment of vulnerability, of anger, of all these things, because I was like, why? Like, why, right? That I was able to get strength. I was able to learn valuable lessons that I can continue taking with me throughout my life. And so that is how you start taking advantage of every moment, even the moments that are very vulnerable for you, even the moments that are like, oh my God, why is this happening, right? That's part of you maximizing the moment. What are you gaining from that moment? How are you growing in that moment? That matters. There are those that are living their life and they're not learning anything. What a waste. What a waste. That is a waste. I am going to encourage you the following, that every single day, you make it your goal every single day to learn something. I guarantee you're going to be a better person. I guarantee it. Okay? So the concept, the mindset that you're only guaranteed right now, it's about you making this moment matter. You feeling appreciation for this time that you have right now. You taking advantage of what's in front of you. You maximizing what you have. There are many times that we think we don't have much, but if you just step aside for a minute, you will realize how much you have that you could take advantage right now. Okay? So what does you are only guaranteed right now looks like? Well, you need to ask yourself this, and you need to give yourself a moment to reflect, right? What does your ideal life look like if you had no limitations? I think many times we don't even think to reflect this. We're only thinking about our limitations. How would your life look like if you did not have any limitation? What will you be doing? What will you be learning? Why not? Learn something every day, right? I encouraged you earlier to learn something every single day. I'm telling you, you become a different person, right? What kind of people will you have around you? What kind of conversations would you have? How would you feel? How would you dress? Yes, I include the dress because every part of you matters, right? Why do I include the dress? Well, the way you dress affects the way you feel. And according to how you feel, that's going to determine how you dress, right? Sometimes you changing the way you dress, you changing the color up can pick you up, right? Every part of you and your life matters. Everything in your life has a domino effect, right? Everything has a domino effect. This is why I say that all of it matters, okay? Now, this concept, this mindset of you're only guaranteed right now, it's not a license for you to do worldly things. It's not a license to be doing worldly things, okay? Now, the term and the word worldly refers to earthly, unspiritual, and matters of the flesh. That's basically what it means, right? And I say this because there are those that say, well, let's just do this because we only have one life to live, right? We gotta live fully, right? And the things that they encourage others to do are things that, well, the other person feels tempted to do, but in the long run, them doing it is not going to be healthy for them, right? It's not going to be healthy for them. It isn't healthy for them spiritually, emotionally, mentally, which means that eventually it's not going to be healthy for you physically, because anything that affects the mind, the heart, the spirit is going to affect you physically as well. Everything is connected, okay? When you are maximizing your moment, make sure that whatever it is that you're doing something that not only maximizes this moment right now, but it also maximizes you in the long run. This is equally important. Many don't keep this in mind, and they just do whatever they feel like doing at the moment without considering, right, the long run. And there are consequences when we don't consider the long run. There are consequences. And we see that all the time, right? For example, when someone wants to eat junk food, but yet they want to lose weight. So they give in to the desire or the wanting to eat unhealthy. Well, you're not going to lose weight if you continue eating like that day after day after day after day, right? Or when someone seeks a relationship because they want to be loved, but the person that they are with is not healthy for them, but they still stay with that person because at least it gives them love right now, right? They're hungry for love. When you're wanting to live a wholesome life, you must connect the mind and the heart. And what I mean with this is that it is so important that you use your reasoning, right? To be mindful of your values, to keep in mind what is it that you envision for yourself, to use your judgment. You gotta use your judgment, right? And honor your desires while using good judgment. And I'm going to say this, don't mistake a hunger for a desire. I've spoken about this before. And when I say hunger, what I mean is a need that went from being a healthy need to a need that is no longer healthy for you because now it's excessive. Like, for example, when you are hungry for love, when you are hungry for attention, when you are hungry to belong. And the reason why this is no longer healthy, mind you, we all have a need to belong, to be needed, to be loved. I mean, all of those needs are healthy, right? There's nothing wrong with those needs. It's just the intensity of the need is what determines whether it's going to be healthy or not. And so when the intensity is so strong, the reason why it's no longer healthy is because that is going to cloud your judgment. That is going to cloud your thinking. That is going to make you settle for things that are not good for you. That's going to make you make choices, make decisions that in the long run, they're going to hurt you. Okay? That's the reason why I say do not mistake in a desire. Well, say, for example, you want to be in a relationship. That could be a desire. That's a normal, healthy need desire. But when it's to the point of, I'm desperate, I need this, that's no longer a desire. That's now a hunger. And it's going to make you settle for things that are not good for you, okay? This is why it's very important to be mindful to not confuse the two. When you mistaken a hunger for a desire, you will justify the unjustifiable. There you go. I'm going to repeat that again because it's a good one. When you mistaken a hunger for a desire, you will justify the unjustifiable. You're going to justify the behavior. You're going to justify the mistreatment. You're going to believe your excuses. You're going to justify your excuses, right? And I get it. I get it that it could be challenging at times to connect the mind and the heart, right? At the same time, especially when the outer world is telling you something very different from the inner world, right? When it doesn't look like it's coming, it doesn't look like it's happening, it doesn't look like you're ever going to experience that. But your inner world is telling you, no, you're going to have that. Your inner being is telling you that, right? But I'm telling you this, if you want success in life, you gotta believe more your inner world than your outer world. The outer world can be a liar. The outer world can be a liar. When you make the outer world louder than your inner world, you're not going to be able to manifest the things and the life that you want. It's going to be impossible. You're just not going to. You're just not going to. You're not going to be able to see your life clearly, right? You're not going to see yourself clearly because you're believing the outside. You're believing what that is trying to tell you. Oh, well, probably I'm not going to find the love of my life. Oh, well, probably I'm not going to have this. Well, probably I'm not going to lose the weight because the weight keeps telling me I weigh so and so. You see what I'm saying? And so the concept of your only guarantee right now, it requires you to have a flexible mindset. It requires you to have a flexible mindset. Okay? And that element of detachment, right? Not being attached to anything. And I know that could be a challenge. We all need to feel grounded and centered in something outside of us. But if you think about it, nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. Not even our youth lasts forever, right? Your youth doesn't last forever. Your job doesn't last forever. Eventually, you have to retire, right? Your relationships don't last forever. And I don't mean it in the sense that you're going to break up or divorce. I'm not referring to that, but the passing of a person, right? And just in general, things come to an end. I know that sounds cold, but I don't mean it in the sense of being cold, right? This is not about, I'm not going to be attached to anything and I'm going to distance myself and I'm not going to allow myself to fall in love and I'm not going to get too close. It's not about that. It's not about you not having closeness with others. It's not about that you're going to detach yourself completely. But if you're going to have an attachment to anything, let that be with your relationship with yourself. That's the one thing that you're going to have to the day you're gone. That's the one thing that you will always have to the day that you're gone. It's your relationship with yourself. So for your overall well-being, that's the one attachment you do not want to let go of. Okay? And again, I want to say this. This detachment does not mean you're not going to get close to people. You're not going to be connected to people. You're going to be so distant. It's not about that. This detachment doesn't mean that you won't grieve either. It doesn't mean that you're not going to feel sad when something comes to an end. But what this will allow you to do is that when something does come to an end, you're not going to let yourself hit rock bottom. And that's the point where it becomes difficult to get back to the way you were before. Okay? So remember that even in every challenging moments, there is beauty in it. Even if you cannot see it at the moment, even if it doesn't feel like it, there's something that you can draw out of it. There's a way that you could take advantage of it, make the most out of it, right? There's an opportunity for strength in that moment. And what you're guaranteed right now is this very moment. So, with that said, what do you choose to do? What do you choose to feel? Right? What do you choose to think? How do you choose to live this very moment? How do you choose to think? Because everything you do matters, even the things that you are not doing, it matters, right? Everything about you matters. So let everything that I shared here sink in. And if you're ready to let this moment, every moment of your life matter, if you're ready for clarity, you're ready for expansion, you're ready to uncover the block and transform the block so that that's a stepping stone for you. If you're really ready to transform your life, I'm going to highly recommend that you schedule your clarity call with me. I'm always putting that link. Schedule that call, or you could reach out to me and we will book that call for you. And in that call, we're going to see where you are now, where you desire to be, what is necessary to close that gap, and how I'm able to help you close that gap. You don't need to be confused. Here I am getting tongue-tied. You don't need to be going in circles. You don't need to not be enjoying your life, your moment. You don't need to be stuck. So schedule that clarity call with me and share this message with other people. You never know who needs to listen to this message that I'm sharing right now. You just never know. And with that said, it is my desire that you live life to the max the way you are destined to live. And until next time, bye for now.